Although I said that I had finished the pie rack in the previous episode, I've made some changes to it, including a shelf, adding a fan on the back, changing that receptacle to black. Nothing new on this side. And on the front, I added a USB port and 2 storage drives and some shelf covers. Quite a few YouTubers have added patch panels and patch cables, such as this one sold on Amazon, to their 10-inch racks. And although this does add visual interest, I won't be adding it to mine because I have other things I want to put in there instead. One feature that I've added to my pie rack is down here on the front of the power compartment. To the left, you'll see a USB charge port that will come in handy recharging my game controller. I ordered 2 of these from iGreeley, off of Amazon actually, but iGreeley is the brand name. I drilled out the pop rivets and instead substituted screws so that I would have access to this compartment down here. If you look more closely, you can see USB ports. So this is plugged into a USB port, and that's how I got USB on the outside. I just cut a hole in my ABS plastic and 2 screws hold it in place. Above the power compartment is an HDMI switch that lets me feed video to 3 different devices. That was already here before. I've added a notch to reach in with my finger and change from one device to the next. To the right of that is 2 USB drives. One of them is 1 terabyte, the other is 2 terabyte. They are shared with my network via Samba. Above the HDMI switch is the DVD drive, which is connected via USB cable to the Raspberry Pi 5, which is sitting on top of the rack. On top of the DVD drive is still the Orange Pi 5 Plus, and to the right of those 2 items is a ventilation hole. The shelf above the Orange Pi holds the network switch. It's an 8-port switch, and the label there that says Pi Rack is covering access holes to reach inside and turn the switch on and off. To the left and the right of the Pi Rack label is some temperature gauges with the sensor set down inside the power compartment to make sure it's not getting too hot down there. And it seems that it's not getting too hot because the temperature stays right around 28-29 degrees. Above the network switch is the Raspberry Pi 4B, and above that is the Raspberry Pi 5 in an Argon 40 case, which you've already seen before. On the software side, I have the Raspberry Pi 5 on top here running Raspberry Pi OS on a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. It can be my game server by simply putting RetroPie on an SD card and plugging it in and rebooting to play some retro games. On the right side of the case, I've added 2 things. First, there is an extension cable for the GPIO pins, and attached to that is this very nice device that lets me use the pins individually. Also, I can attach a breadboard, and the other thing that I've added is a hinge-up shelf to support the breadboard when I want to use that. Here on the back side, you can see that I've swapped out the white 20 amp receptacle for a black 15 amp receptacle, which is what I wanted to put in the first place. And I also have added an aluminum strip to keep these shelves from pushing through when I worked on it from the front. Inside you can see a fan. It's not fastened down, it's wedged in there, and it does not move around. It's held snugly by just the friction between the two shelves, and that keeps the orange pie happy. I've also got my Ethernet port like I showed you before. And if we look up here towards the top, you can see that the Raspberry Pi, we've got a USB cable connecting it to the DVD drive. We've got HDMI power, and we've got a Ethernet jack. I can unplug all of those and plug in another 5-volt device. If I want to use something that is not 5-volt, I can still use everything except the power plug, but then I would go ahead and use this to plug in. For instance, my DCOM A6 could go up here and make use of all of these. I'd still have to get a different keyboard and mouse because my Bluetooth keyboard and mouse only supports the original 3 devices, but it makes this a very versatile rack. To make this whole setup a little more portable, I found a sleeve for a tablet or a small laptop, and I've put in a power cable, Ethernet cable, HDMI cable. There's room in the side pouch to put a mouse, and room to put the keyboard also. So I can have this fastened to my Pi rack via this clip here and just be able to carry everything off all in one swoop. I believe that 10-inch racks will continue to grow in popularity because of the proliferation of single-board computers with pretty high specs and mini computers, things of that nature. For myself, mine were being kept in a box, and if I wanted to use them, I had to get them out and hook them up to monitor and keyboard and mouse and so on and so forth just to use them. But having this rack just lets me keep them available all the time, turned on, and they're now available to me as game servers, as storage servers, and as a project machine in the case of the Raspberry Pi 4B. That brings me to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've found it to be informative, helpful, or just entertaining, please like and subscribe. I plan to be making another video again soon, so I will see you then.